All right, hello everybody. How are you? I hope you're doing well today. We're just going to wait a couple minutes before getting started just to allow people to enter the room, make sure everything's okay, and get set up. Just going to give it one more minute, so we're going to get started at 8:33, just for everybody's information. All right, so let's get started. So hello everybody, I hope you're having a great day. And today I have the pleasure of welcoming you to Canador's pre-departure webinar for winter 2026. So I just want to go over a couple things before we get started for information. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions. There's a lot of unanswered things about coming to Canada and starting your study here. And today is designed to give you the information and tools that you'll need before you come here. So things like, how do I budget? What can I expect for work? How does the registration process work? What does living here look like? What about travel? What does coming here look like exactly? So yeah, today we'll just give you a bunch of information to get prepared. Now, we have a lot of stuff. We won't be able to answer if you have any questions, we won't be able to answer them immediately. We're going to be hosting a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So I ask that while we're presenting, just hold your questions until the end. There'll be a slide where you can, and then you should be able to post your questions in the Q&A feature on Teams. So that being said, yeah, let's get started. So hello, everybody. My name is Christopher. I work in the international office as the International Student Service Coordinator. And basically what I do is I help manage events, coordinate with other departments, make sure students get the service they need. And also I help answer questions and queries about health insurance, your health insurance plan. So if you have any of those sorts of questions, feel free to send them to me. With me today, I have Jessica, Nicole, Sonia, Leanne, um, Inderjeet, Cesar, and also Victoria. And Victoria is also a representative of GuardMe, so she can help answer any, which is the health insurance plan, so she can help answer some of the questions regarding that. So yeah, let's get started. Before we move on with the presentation, though, I'd like to invite Jessica for a land acknowledgement.
Good morning. As we begin this pre-departure session at Canadore College, we want to take a moment to acknowledge the land we're on. We do this to show respect and gratitude for the Indigenous people who have lived here for many generations. Canadore College is located on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people within lands protected by the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850. This land has been home to the Nipissing First Nation since time immemorial. Even though we are meeting virtually today, we want to recognize the importance of the land we call home. This is part of our commitment to building better relationships and understanding between nations and to learning more about local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. Across Canada, we acknowledge the land of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, so I just want to give you guys a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. So first off, Leanne's going to be giving you an introduction to Canada, and then Nicole's going to be talking about registration matters. Then Sonia's going to cover travel matters. And then Jessica's going to be covering a bunch of important things to think about. This is like a bunch of things like finance, work, communication matters. This stuff is really important to pay attention to. So keep an eye out when that stuff is happening. Also, and then Victoria is going to talk about the health insurance plan. And then I'm going to talk about living in Canada. And finally, Cesar, who is a student with us, is going to round things off by giving his perspective. So yeah, let's get started. So I'd like to give the floor to Leanne to talk about the introduction to Canada.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Good morning, good evening, everybody. We are very excited to welcome you this January for a winter intake. Now, I'm pleased to talk to you about Canada. So as you can see, North Bay is located in the province of Ontario. We are strategically located at about, we'll say, 3.5 hours north of the city of Toronto and about 4 hours to the west of Ottawa. We also have a campus in the West Parry Sound, which is about 1.5 hours from North Bay. Next slide, please. Now, the advantage of North Bay's location is that we are, as I mentioned, very close to major centers. Now, North Bay is considered the gateway to the north, which is located at the crossroad of transcontinental highways and provides a link to the north, the south, the east, and the west for transportation and communication activities. North Bay is a vibrant, mid-sized city with beautiful scenery that you will get to see when you get here, especially in the winter. Lifestyle that is more connected to nature and to a number of cultural attractions. Being a diverse community, you will note that North Bay has quite a few activities that you'll be able to attend, participate in, and we are definitely a college-friendly community. So North Bay and Canadore, we are very good friends, and we work very closely to the city when it comes to hosting and welcoming international students. The residents of North Bay are warm and friendly, and you will quickly discover that the culture and character is here, and you will feel welcome when you do come to North Bay. Next slide, please. So just to give you an idea, so North Bay, as I mentioned, is located pretty centrally in the province of Ontario. Since most of you will likely be arriving in Toronto, it is good to know that there are several bus transportation services available to help you get to North Bay easily, which we will touch on later on during the presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, this is exciting. North Bay, we are actually starting the winter months. So we are in a location where we do celebrate all 4 seasons, each offering its own unique activities and charm. So when you arrive in January, it will be winter, so temperatures will be cold. So you may want to consider bringing some more warm clothing, but don't worry if you don't have any of that. We have plenty of stores here that you'll be able to purchase when you arrive. So winter, as I mentioned, is going to be cold and snowy, so it is important to dress properly. So in order to keep your luggage weight at, let's say, reasonable weight, so you're not paying the extra money at the airport, we do recommend just a few sweaters to start, and we'll be able to help you navigate with other clothing when you get here. Now, during the cold months too, though, we do have an Ontario Hockey League. So this will allow you to explore hockey games, professional hockey games. We also have community groups and Facebook groups that they share ideas on what they're doing throughout all 4 seasons. So once winter is complete, we will be entering into the spring season, which you will start seeing trees bloom, flowers bloom. The maple syrup will start to run. So these are all great things to look forward to. Also, the summers here are beautiful. We are surrounded by a number of lakes, freshwater lakes that you can swim in, canoe, do a lot of extracurricular activities. And the fall also is beautiful. You'll see the leaves will start changing. The colors are spectacular. So you'll get to experience all these 4 seasons. So we're excited that you'll be here for that. Next slide, please. So this gives you an idea of the weather patterns that we experience during all seasons. So you'll see here as you arrive in January, the average temperature we'll say is -9. The high is 5, which you may see in January, but most of the time you'll see in the minus 10, 9, 10 degrees. And then as you'll see between April and June, it starts to warm up, and then so on. In July and August are typically our hottest weather. However, in September lately in the last few years has been just as beautiful. Next slide, please. Quickly, I've mentioned this a few times already. It is getting colder. We won't go too much into this slide, but it just gives you a couple snapshots of activities. You've got the fat bikes there that we actually rent here at Canadore College. We want to make sure you have waterproof boots because the weather can be full-on snow, or it could be, they call it wet snow. So we want to make sure that you are dry and healthy. So we'll make sure, again, we're here to help you. So don't hesitate when you get here. Come and see us. We'll be able to help you. Okay, next slide, please. So the intro to life on campus. So a number of you may have already booked your residence here at Canadore. If you have not done so, we will touch on that a bit later. We really recommend you do, especially for first-year students, because Canadore Residence has a lot of supports. So we do have, I'm just going to show you a little bit, a few snapshots here of our campuses. So we have 3 campuses here in North Bay. College Drive, this is where I am located. We also have our primary department is here. We also have Commerce Court, where some of you who are maybe in the trades or some of the business programs, the IT programs are located at Commerce Court. Aviation campus, self-explanatory. You'll see here that it is located at our Jack Garland Airport here in North Bay. And then in West Parry Sound, it's a smaller campus, but it is located about an hour and a half from here. All of our campuses will have modern equipment. We have libraries on site, especially at College Drive, the athletic facilities, our office, and as I mentioned, the dorms, the residents. Very, very affordable and comfortable, and as I mentioned, well supported. Next slide, please. Here are just a few pictures to show you what's here. So the Harris Learning Library is a shared space between Canadore College and our neighbor, Nipissing University. It's a wonderful space to do your studying, to work in groups. We also have the Education Center cafeteria. So all of our campuses have a cafeteria on site. Another great space for students to meet and do some work. Most recently, we have our Panther Dome. So the Panther Dome is actually used by also our community groups, our sports groups, but you'll have an opportunity to see that. And we also have fitness centers, and our international office is very happy to be hosting cultural events throughout the year. So please, if you have any suggestions, we are open to that. Chris is our coordinator, and he's the lead for that. Thank you, Chris. Oh, sorry, one more slide for me. Okay, so this is very, very important. So our international orientation session is being held on Friday, January 9th at 8:30. Please come early because we will be starting promptly. It's so important to help you prepare and feel comfortable when you get here. So you'll learn even more about campus services. You'll meet new friends, probably in your program, and the academic expectations. And you'll likely meet some of your professors as well. So if you have further questions, we do have our frequently asked questions that are available online, but we will also be present for you on January 9th, and we look forward to that. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Leanne. Now I'm going to pass it on to Nicole, who's going to talk about registration-related matters.
Good morning. Good evening, everybody. Just before I move on, do we have a location for the orientation on January 9th? Which campus?
It will tentatively be on the Commerce Court campus.
Commerce Court. Okay. So hello, my name is Nicole Dupuis. I am part of the international admissions team. I work with my colleagues Julie Perry and Sylvie Burns, and so I suspect that those names are familiar to some of you. We form the admissions part of the international team, so we reviewed your application and your credentials and would have issued you an offer and answered any emails you may have had regarding your admissions to Canadore. So we're glad you're on your way. Next slide, please. And just before I go on to these matters, I will let you know that either myself, Sylvie, and Julie are available. We have an office at the Commerce Court campus. So once you arrive and you need to discuss any matters in terms of your registration or your admission, you can find one of us every day from 8:30 to 4:30 at the Commerce Court campus. Okay, so when you accept your offer and then you made payment, obviously you've already been in the process of applying for your study visa. It's very important to know that you will not be able to register. So once you hit Canada, you won't be able to register until we have your study permit, which is different than your study visa. And often students think, well, I did send in my visa, my permit, but you've only sent in the visa part. So once you get to the airport and you get your study permit, then you need to upload that to OCAS. You can do it if you have access to your application, or you can request that your agent do it on your behalf. So once we see the study permit, then you'll be able to register. There's an email that's going to be coming out later today or Monday, but I'm told later today, and it's an email that will give you instructions on how to register. Most programs open December 11th to register, okay? So I've touched that, you upload your study permit, and that's it. So you won't be able to access your schedule or your classes or anything like that until you're registered. And for that, we need your study permit, okay? Next slide, please. So in case of a study permit refusal or study visa refusal, you can opt for a deferral to the next intake. Now, just because you request a deferral to the next intake, it's not always guaranteed that a seat is available. So you need to keep that in mind, but we do our best. So if there's a seat available in that very next intake, we will definitely offer that to you. If not, you might be pushed to another intake. Okay. The last date to request your deferral is December 20th. Now, this has been brought to my attention. It's a Saturday, so we will honor any deferral requests up until the Monday, which would be the 23rd, December 23rd, 24th. That will be fine. Okay. And unfortunately, you can't request deferrals from certain programs because we have long wait lists and they're high demand, such as PSW, Practical Nursing, Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and Renovation Techniques. Okay, so those programs you would have to reapply. So just send us an email or ask your agent to send us an email, and we can work things out with you if you can't make it for January. Okay. And that is it. Okay, next slide, please. So in case of a study permit refusal, you can request a refund. And I actually just answered an email this morning regarding this. Your deposit, your $2,700 deposit is non-refundable except when it's because your visa has been refused. So you would have to provide your visa refusal letter. You can ask your agent to upload that. And it has to be submitted within 60 days of the refusal. Okay, so you can't wait a few months and then decide to request a refund based on a visa refusal. Okay, and we withhold $300 Canadian, so you would receive 2,400 Canadian of that deposit amount. Okay. It says here all refunds must be initiated through the OCAS portal. Yes. However, sometimes it's not possible. And in that case, you can send an email to international admissions. But for the most part, they must be requested on OCAS. And I think no refunds are given for withdrawals after the 10th day of class. So those, make sure that you go to our refund policy in case you're thinking of requesting a refund and understand the policy. And if you have questions, reach out to international admissions. Okay, the email is on one of the other slides, but we can put it in the Q&A as well. Okay, next slide. So registration matters, IT policy. So BYOD is bring your own device. So we don't supply computers, headsets, any of that sort of thing to students. So you are responsible to bring your own. At Canadore College, it is a program delivery model that requires students to have a mobile computing device that meets the minimum technical specifications outlined in each program. And often that can be discovered or you can find that information out through your professors or your program coordinator. Okay, so please view details on the device needed for your program on our website, and there's a link there, bring your own device. So there might be some specifications there as well. As I mentioned, you're responsible for your laptop, ensuring that the laptop has the proper software installed. The cost of repairs, all of that basically is your responsibility, okay? And you want to be able to have stable and consistent internet at your home. At the college, that's not an issue, but wherever you're working from in the evenings, that is your responsibility. And the latest version of an internet browser such as Chrome, Firefox, or Microsoft Edge. And I think that is it for me. Yeah. So we hope to see you in January, and please do pop into the Commerce Court campus so we can say hello to you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. All right, now I'm going to give the stage to Sonia, who's going to talk about travel-related matters.
Thank you, Chris. Very good afternoon and evening to all the students who have joined. I know it's difficult to pack your life and move to a different country in 2 bags, but we'll try to cover important aspects related to your travel before, during, and after you have landed. So let's start on some important points that you should keep in mind. Okay, so before you're traveling, make sure that you have a place to live in Canada. So once you receive your visa approval, it's essential that you book a place. So Canada has its residence, so you can go to the link provided on the slide and book your residence. If you're looking for an off-campus housing, you can look at places like Marketplace, Kijiji, Rental.ca, so that you are not hassled when you come to North Bay. You have a place to live in advance. We always kind of reiterate to students to download the iSent app. It's available both on Play Store and Apple Store. Right now, while you're attending this session, you can in fact scan the QR code and you can download. Be it any information related to your orientation, whether it's deferrals, whether it's tuition payments or the workshops, every information will be shared with you through the iSent app. So it's very essential. We have multiple social media groups, whether it be WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook groups. So you are, tech savvy generation. So you have access to various things. Make sure that you join those, even though it is kind of an information source, but always rely on the website for the final information. So, but it's a good way to network with either your previous, or I can say your seniors or your current mates. You can network with them on social media. Um, We'll also discuss in the coming slides about your travel arrangements and how to travel to North Bay. Next slide, please. So before you travel, as I was saying, housing is very essential. So you have to book a place to live. Similarly, it's very essential about what you pack. So booking flights is also a part of it, and you should always book your flights after you get your visa approval. We have seen cases in past when students book for flights before study visa approval and then they kind of incur penalties, and don't lose your money like that. So always that is suggested. Also, insurance is very essential. If you have any, medical condition, you have to take a supplemental insurance. The Canadore insurance that you have paid for in your tuition starts 15 days before the class start date. So your classes are starting on 12th of January. So approximately 15 days before that, which is towards the end of December, your insurance will start. But in case you have any long-term health condition, make sure you have additional insurance. There are students who book connecting flights, so make sure that you're able to check, do you need any transit visa in the connecting country that you're in, so that your travel is completely hassle-free. Usually students traveling through US face that issue. Make sure you collect the required information in advance. Usually airlines allow second bag for students. I don't want to name the airlines. Make sure you do that research so that you have one extra bag with you, because there's too much to pack. But when we say there's too much to pack, please don't pack actually too much, especially with relates to food items. So only pack the essentials which are required during your stay in Canada, because there is a lot of stuff that you're going to buy while you are in Canada. And we'll talk about it in our next slide as well. So when it comes to what you can actually carry, so one is your carry-on, which you take with you on the flight, and one is your luggage that is packed and goes to the back of the flight. So when it is about your carry-on, please make sure that you have all your travel-related documents. That is, the original document file that you have, please carry in your carry-on bag. You must have a power bank. If you have a connecting flight, make sure you have an all-country charging pin with you in your carry-on. You should have some medications with you. You should also carry some extra clothes in terms of jacket, so you don't feel cold immediately when you land in Canada. You should never ever carry any flammable or sharp items which will anyway be taken out during the security check. So make sure that you weigh your bags before going to the airport to avoid any hassle at the airport. Since I've been associated with students for a decade now, I've had heard and I've seen multiple issues of students. I've, taking out stuff from their bags and giving to the family outside the airport. Don't do that. So please weigh your bags before you leave your home for the airport. Next slide, please. So during your travel, it's also essential that you go to the CBSA website. The link is mentioned here. Make sure that you check what can you actually bring to Canada. And you have to actually kind of declare if you're bringing things which are not allowed. And that is, again, a bit of a hassle. So don't kind of pack things like coconut. I've seen that in past. Students have done that and it's not allowed. So you get coconuts in Canada, okay? So, a lot of spices and fruits and vegetables, please do not pack that. You get everything in Canada. I know it's difficult to kind of pack your life into a suitcase, but apart from all these, clothes and shoes and hygiene products that you need the all country charging pin, make sure that you carry a lot of confidence and a smile, because there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of questions that are running into your mind when you're traveling, especially to a new country to settle. So never be afraid of even asking questions at the airport. People are very helpful. So make sure that if you don't know anything, either you search online or either ask someone. Never shy away from asking questions during your travel and even after your travel and even when you're in Canada. Next slide, please. So when you have actually reached the airport, we want to quickly kind of let you know how the process will be. Um, we are showing you in a slide way, but just to let the students know, if you go to kind of social media and even on other platforms, some of the students have actually made videos on the entire process of what happens at the airport when you land in Toronto Pearson. So if visuals kind of give you more information, you can do that. But what will happen is once you land, you are required to complete a declaration and you have to fill that card very carefully. So it will ask you questions. Are you coming directly? Which country are you coming from? It will ask questions like, are you coming directly from US? These kind of declaration cards, and it's available if you have to kind of look at a sample online. Once you get your declaration card, there is a primary examination wherein you will be kind of asked questions. Uh, and then there is a secondary examination. What sort of questions are asked? You have a file of your original documents and you must have a photocopy of all those documents. So where are you going to study? Your financial documents, your English proficiency like IELTS or PT, all these documents should be there. And your of course, study visa approval document, everything. They are going to ask the questions that you already know. All you have to keep your confidence to answer them. And once you're able to kind of answer all those questions, you get a study permit at the airport. Make sure you check your study permit document as well before you leave that area wherein your secondary examination is done. Next slide. When you get that study permit letter, which my colleague Nicole was also telling me is needed to register for you. So make sure that the moment you get it, you keep it safely with you, and then you move to the luggage collection. Um, it's a funny instance, but I'm just sharing that once a student, after getting the study permit, was so excited that he kind of left the airport without the luggage. So don't do that. So after you get your study permit, make sure you collect your luggage. And before you're leaving from the airport, you have to hand over that declaration card to the officer. So this entire process varies for student to student. These days, it's very quick and accelerated. So hope you're able to kind of do that quickly. Next slide. And just quick information about you that as per the rules, you're not allowed to kind of come 4 weeks before the class start date. So your classes are starting on January 12th. And if you already have a visa approval study permit, we sometimes get queries from students asking that can I travel in November? So I think before December 12th, you should ideally not travel to Canada. The residence rooms are available starting January 4th. And if in case you're arriving early, you must write to residence before December 13th. Um, we often get every intake students ask for late arrivals. So through the medium of this pre-departure, let me tell you that we do not allow late arrivals. So if you're arriving late for your class start, you can lose your seat. So if in case there is any urgent or contingent situation with you, you must write to international admissions. They are the one who will decide, but we do not allow late arrivals. Next slide, please. And once you are finally at Toronto Pearson, we want to give you an exact idea that how you can travel to North Bay. So there are different modes. You have a flight from Toronto Pearson to Jack Garland Airport in North Bay. You can book a flight. It's very convenient, 40 minutes flight. There are also options via road wherein you can either book Ontario Northland or Northern Airport service. I have tried both, and I must tell you that they're very convenient. So Northern Airport service, you don't even have to go out of Toronto Pearson International Airport. You can book it in advance, and you have to kind of tell where you want your drop in North Bay. And within the airport, they'll pick you up and you will be dropped in North Bay. It's very convenient. So make sure that all these arrangements are made in advance before you travel. And we are more than kind of excited to welcome you for the new intake. And this information is available online. So if you're kind of missing anything, make sure you make notes and go online for further details as well. I think that's it from my end. And all the best to the students for their new journey.
All right, thank you, Sonia. Now I'm going to pass it on to Jessica, who's going to talk about a bunch of important things to think about.
Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world. We like to have a lot of fun with our students. We have a lot of events going on, and we always welcome everybody to stop by and say hi and hang out with us if we're not too busy. But I'm going to be a little bit serious, a lot serious for the next little while as I talk, because we do care about you and we want to make sure that our students are set up for success. So the next little while is going to be pretty serious. We'll go to the next slide. So I don't know if any of you are coming here with children, but if you are, you have to understand that we can't have children in the classrooms. There's many reasons for this. One, it's a distraction. Two, there's many reasons. This could be resulted in asking you to leave your class until you find childcare, and this could impact your studies, which would then impact your study permit and any future opportunities in Canada. It's important to know that it is not okay here in Canada to leave your children alone if they're under the age of 16. This can result in serious consequences, not only for you, but also for your children. So you want to make sure that you have safe and appropriate childcare for your children. And that brings us to the cost of childcare, which would be your responsibility to pay for. And you have to be aware of that. So it can cost anywhere from $30 to $60 per day for each child. So if you have 2 children, that would be $60 to $120 a day. And most daycares here in Canada, they will charge you for 5 days of childcare, whether you use all 5 days or not. It just holds your seat because they do fill up quickly. There are wait lists for childcare here. And if you are bringing children and you're not on the wait list yet, please send us an email at international@canadacollege.ca, and we will send you all the information you need, and we'll try to work with you to help you understand what you need to do when you're bringing your children and put your name on the wait lists. Even if you have a school-age child, if you have any classes in the morning or in the evening, you'll likely still need childcare. So you'll still have to get on those wait lists, okay? Again, if they're under the age of 16, they should not be left alone at home. I'm seeing it says attended, but it's unattended. So send us an email. Let us work together so that we can help you figure that part out before you come to Canada. We'll move on. Speaking about childcare and the expenses, there's a lot of other expenses that you are expected to pay when you come to Canada. You should be fully aware of all of the expenses and pay for them for the entire length of your studies. So that means if you plan on being here for 2 years, you should be ready to pay for those 2 years. I understand that you have to show proof of payment or funds for the first year, but you need to be prepared for everything. Your books, you can pay up to $1,800 per year. That's Canadian, $1,800 per year for your books. Your housing, even though you're going to school for 8 months, about 8 months, you're still going to be most likely asked to do a full year lease, which could be upwards of $8,040 a year. Food and entertainment, those can be $2,500. That's your groceries and perhaps any of your, if you're going out to restaurants, if you're going to the movies, those kinds of things. Your laptop, you're looking at about $1,000 a year. That would be for upkeep. If you need a new laptop, any software that you might need, you're looking to pay for that. You'll have to pay for that. Clothing, now I know a lot of you probably think, well, I have a lot of clothes, I don't need to buy any more clothes, but you're coming most likely to a new climate. It can get pretty cold here, even on the inside the buildings. So you'll want to make sure that you're prepared with proper winter jacket, as Leanne was saying, proper boots, proper pants, and you want to dress in layers as well. So you'll want to have sweaters and mittens and hats and everything that you might need. We talked about childcare. You're looking at, and we didn't talk about the yearly expense, but $5,500 per child per year. And then you're looking at transportation. So if you plan on driving, for gas, for insurance, for upkeep of your vehicle, even if you plan on taking taxis, you can look at about $2,200 per year. So you need to be fully aware of the costs of living in Canada and be prepared for the unexpected. You received an email I think this week called Financial Responsibilities. I think it was the very first email in the Coming to Canada series. There's also a link inside that email that you can go to, and it'll show you how much certain things might cost here in North Bay specifically, like going to the restaurants, going to the movies, even a bag of milk, how much that might cost. So we'll move on. Finding work, I know a lot of students come here expecting to find work and to pay their expenses with a job. We have to note that finding a job is not guaranteed here. It's a very competitive market. Many of our students don't find work. So you cannot rely on employment as your primary source of funding. If you do find a job, it would be considered a bonus, and you can use that money for extra things like entertainment, but you should be fully prepared without a job to pay for your studies, your rent, and your groceries. In almost all cases, we do not provide payment extensions or reprieves. If you miss a payment for your tuition, you may not be able to register. You will not be able to register until your payment is fully made, which means that you might lose your seat. You might be in non-compliance with your study permit if you lose your seat, and then you might need to go back home. So it's really important to be prepared to pay for all of these expenses before you come to Canada. If you have any doubts, you need to do your research. You can reach out to us at international@canadacollege.ca to discuss the situation. We can try and help guide you, but again, there's no payment extensions, no reprieves. You need to be prepared. So you need to take full responsibility for managing your finances and consider your budget very carefully. We'll move on. So a lot of you are probably younger, you're coming to Canada, you're very excited. It's a first taste of freedom maybe with your own money. So there's a lot of things you probably want to buy or do, but it's really important to plan how you spend your money and how you save your money so that you can make sure that you cover your needs. The needs such as tuition, having a roof over your head, having medication, any of your transportation, your groceries. It's important that you make those your priorities, okay? Going out to restaurants, going to the movies, new phones, brand new phones, clothing that isn't necessarily needed, travel, other subscriptions such as maybe YouTube. I don't know what other subscriptions people do, but magazines, do people still do magazine subscriptions? Those are all wants. Those are things you want to do. They're not things you need to do. So you need to make sure that you have the funds and that you pay for the things you need before you spend money on the things that you want and don't necessarily need. Again, as I mentioned, payment plans, installments, tuition reprieves, those are not available. So you need to be prepared financially, and you need to really consider if you are prepared financially. And when you do accept your offer, when you accept your offer and you come to Canada and you come to Canadore, that's you accepting that you have the funds to cover all of the costs for the entire length of your studies. We'll move on. This is just a case study. We've seen a lot of students, they've come to Canada, they're pursuing, say, for example, a business management degree, and they plan on finding a part-time job to help cover their expenses because they don't have enough money without the part-time job. Unfortunately, for some of our students, the competitive job market limits their ability to find jobs. Their class schedule limits their ability to find jobs because when you're coming to Canada on a study permit, your number one priority, your number one focus should be your studies, not your job. There's also rules. You know, you can work, I think, up to 24 hours a week. Without this additional income, after planning to find a part-time job, our students often find that their savings run out quickly and they struggle. They struggle to pay their tuition, their rent, their groceries. When they miss their tuition payments, then they can't register. And because they can't register, they lose their seats. And then they can't be on full-time enrollment, which is necessary for their study permit. And they could face a decision, and we've had students facing a decision of having to go home. So it's really important that you plan your studies. I know this is very serious. We just want to make sure that you are successful and safe here, and that you understand this big responsibility. We'll move on. Again, we talked about WhatsApp groups. Those are great. There's you can meet a lot of people. You can learn a lot of things. But you have to be careful of what information you can trust and what information you can't trust. We've talked about also scams and fraud. So you want to make sure that when you do get information, you're double checking. Check with Canada College, check with your professors, check with the international department, check with the international admissions department, check the IRCC website, check Canada's website. You can depend on those for proper information. We also have Inderjeet, or we'll have somebody, maybe somebody else here who can help you with immigration and IRCC related matters. They're authorized to speak to you about those matters. It's important that any information you get, you do double check. So things that you want to double check is information from your agents, information from WhatsApp groups, information from your friends, anything that's really important, make sure you double check. You can send an email to us at international@canadacollege.ca, or you're always welcome to come and see us. Come say hi, come ask us your questions. You can take a screenshot of this if you'd like. This is where our offices are located within each of our campuses. We'll move on. So likely, even after this session, you'll probably still have lots of questions. We're happy to answer them through the email, but if you're looking for a quick answer, because sometimes our email does get pretty busy, download the iSent app after I talk here or while I'm talking. Please open up your phones, try to download the iSent app. You can visit our website at canadacollege.ca. There's a lot of information throughout our website, including for housing, for registration. There's scholarships if you're looking for scholarships and bursaries. There's a lot of information there, so you can take a look at our website, take just browse it a little bit just to get to know it. We have frequently asked questions at the Canadore International website. So these are related to admissions, registration, your health insurance, traveling, those kinds of things, deferrals. So it's all there. We have been sending Coming to Canada. This is a series of emails that we send for tips and tricks, just to make it a smoother transition for you coming to Canada. And once you get here, you'll receive some emails called Welcome to Canada with more tips and tricks for studying here at Canadore and living here in North Bay. If you still have questions, again, I suggest you screenshot this page here. You can email international.admissions@canadorecollege.ca. That's for any questions you have related to your application or your registration. And any other questions that you might have, anything you want to double check, you can email international@canadorecollege.ca. So just for a moment, I'm going to pause for 1 minute. I'm going to let you download the iSent app. We send a lot of important information through there. If there's IRCC updates, we do a lot of events. For example, this week, we have next week, we have a holiday hangout, which is, we're inviting all of our students, international, domestic. We're going to do some gingerbread decorating, some cookie decorating. We're going to have a hot chocolate bar, apple cider, gifts. Santa Claus will be visiting. So we try to have a lot of fun, and we send these through iSense. So that's where you'll get it. We also have a lot of workshops that our international student advisor performs to talk about study permits, to talk about PGWP, and many immigration related things. So that all gets sent through ISAP. So download iSent, sorry. Download iSent. We can move on. And I think this is the last screen for me. So we have some upcoming sessions. I don't know if you've been attending the pop-in drop-ins. A lot of important information coming through there. So take a look on our website, or you can scan this QR code so you can see all of the sessions that we have. I believe we talk about housing, registration, living in North Bay or Canada. I think there's a winter one to be prepared and dress properly for winter. So we have a lot of those. And you'll also, on the same page, you'll find once the location is confirmed, the orientation on January 9th, which will be in person. It is important for all students to attend. You can meet friends, you can meet us, you can get to know the campuses, meet your professors. So please take a look, and we will be sending those invites through iSent as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. Okay. So now I'd like to invite Victoria from GuardMe to talk about the health insurance plan.
Great. Thank you. Hello, everyone. You can go to the next slide, Chris. Okay, so I'm just going to take a few minutes of your time today to talk really high level about your health insurance that you receive while you're a student at Canadore College. So your health insurance is provided by GuardMe. You're enrolled automatically in the policy. You've already paid for it in your tuition for the period of when you are studying. So you'll receive a one-year policy when you first start. And it will start from January 1st. Okay, so your coverage officially begins January 1st, and your first year policy will run all the way until December 31st. It's really important to understand that there is a grace period for the insurance policy for 15 days before January 1st. However, that really only covers you in emergency situations. So really, like a really large emergency. It's not there to cover you if you have a cold and want to go see the doctor, or maybe think you have an ear infection or anything like that. So that is just a grace period. I'm going to talk about how you should really cover yourself with insurance if you are arriving in Canada before January 1st. So your official coverage starts on January 1st, and then however, you do not receive your welcome email from GuardMe until after the 10-day count. And what is that? That's the enrollment period. So once the enrollment period at Canadore College closes, the college sends us the list of all of the students that need to be enrolled in the policy, and then we issue those policies. They are backdated back to January 1st, so you have that coverage that begins then. However, you will not receive your welcome email, you will not receive your insurance details until after that 10 business day count. So really it happens in the third week of the semester. So just a reminder about that timeline, okay? So your coverage begins January 1st. And then in the third week of classes is when you receive your welcome email and your ability to download your insurance card and log into your GuardMe account. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So for those students that are arriving before January 1st. It's really important for you, if you do not have alternate insurance, to navigate to our website here. So it's sagard.me/Canadore International, and you can purchase your early arrival insurance to make sure that if you have any sickness or you're not feeling well, maybe you arrive in Canada and you get sick right away because it's a new climate, you have that insurance and you'll have your insurance card with you to go to the doctor, to go to the pharmacy, to use our virtual care really seamlessly and easily in the days leading up to when your policy as a student starts. So please, if you're arriving before January 1st and you don't have any other insurance, early arrival insurance is a really great option. And secondly, I'm going to talk about dependents. Your spouse and your children are not automatically covered under your policy. So if you're arriving with your kids and you're especially arriving before January 1st, they do not have any coverage, any grace period, nothing like that. So you really would need to buy that early arrival insurance for you and for your children. And the same thing during the school year. If your children aren't covered under any other insurance, it's really highly recommended that you purchase dependent insurance for them so that they have coverage in case they get sick or they get injured, as we know happens to children really easily. Okay, and both of those policies, your early arrival or your dependent insurance, can be purchased on that URL that's right below at the bottom of the screen. So you can take a picture of it, you can write it down. It's very important. Okay, next slide. And I'm just showing you what that website looks like now. So this is the same URL that I just talked about, www.gard.me/Canadore International. You can see the tabs on the left, so early arrivals. There's a recent graduate tab, so that you don't have to worry about that now, and then add a dependent. So really important to remember, your children or your spouse are not covered under your policy if they don't have alternate insurance. Dependent insurance can be purchased directly from us. I've also listed our contact information right here. So our customer care is available 24/7. You can also email customer care with any questions. And then we do have a live chat on our website. You can see the chat with us button there, and that is available 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it might be different hours before you arrive in Canada. And yeah, and then, so I'm just going to go over really high level what the insurance actually covers so you understand before you arrive. It is emergency health insurance. So it is there to cover you if you get sick or if you get injured. So things like the flu or an ear infection, or if you are playing a sport and you break your arm, or even a more serious sickness or injury that you need to go to the hospital and get continuous, maybe some follow-up appointments as well. So that's what this insurance covers you for. It covers you if you get sick or if you get injured, any new sickness and new injury. And it will cover medication that you need, follow-up appointments that you need, if you need, some medically necessary diagnostic testing like x-rays or lab work or MRIs. Those would be covered under the emergency benefits of your policy. This policy does not cover the maintenance of chronic conditions. If you have a condition that requires regular checkups or regular prescriptions, those may not be covered under the policy. So highly recommend to bring as many months of prescriptions with you as you can. And then any refills that you'll need to get while you're in Canada, you will have to pay for those out of pocket. There are some non-emergency benefits in the policy. For example, there is pregnancy coverage as long as your pregnancy starts after you are a student. So if you come already pregnant, there won't be any coverage under the policy for that. And there are a lot of other non-emergency benefits too, like physiotherapy, some paramedical coverage. Really important and highly recommend that you read your policy wording. That policy wording and policy summary can be downloaded on that website I talked about before. And it's really easy for you to view it after you purchase, if you purchase early arrival insurance or once you get your welcome email. And if you do ever have any questions, please, contact customer care, the team in the international department at Canadore College. Chris would be your go-to person about the insurance, and I work really closely with the college as well. That's really all I'm going to say about the insurance today. I'm going to be at the orientation in January, giving a much more detailed presentation about the insurance. But one thing before I go that I just want you to keep in mind about using the insurance and about accessing healthcare in Canada in general is that hospitals are for major emergencies and injuries only. So if you have something that is more minor, you have access to virtual care through GuardMe, which you will receive information on that. So please take advantage of virtual care because it's really easy for you to access a doctor. 2, there's a clinic on campus that you can make an appointment with through Canadian Shield. So they are a great resource for you. And then thirdly, the pharmacist, any pharmacy in North Bay, pharmacists can treat you for a lot of minor illnesses and injuries, and they are a really great resource for you. We don't want you going to the hospital when you don't need to for something minor and waiting for up to 12, 15 hours, because that's sometimes what the wait time can be at the hospital in North Bay. And if you're waiting for something really minor, it's really not the best place for you to go. But other than that, I really hope that you have a safe and healthy time at Canadore College and in Canada, and that you don't need to use the insurance, but if you do, it is there to protect you for your sicknesses and your injuries. And that's everything from me.
All right. Thank you, Victoria. So now I'm going to be talking about living in Canada. So living in Canada. So we've talked about this a bit before with part-time employment, but I'm going to touch on a couple things we haven't yet. So as you may know, there are employment opportunities in Canada. You can access them on websites like the Job Bank of Canada, LinkedIn, Indeed. Also, if you're interested in campus jobs, you can go to Canadore Employment Solutions. However, this is something that you really want to make sure you're aware of is job scams. Now, this happens sometimes, and there's a couple red flags you can watch out for. So job scams would be jobs that aren't actually real. They're looking to get something out of you that benefits them. So whether that's information or it could be money, banking details, social security information. So it's really important to watch out for them. And a couple things you can look for to tell if you're potentially dealing with a job scam when you're looking are requests for your personal or banking details before you've actually been hired. This is a huge red flag. Usually job scams don't need to access your bank account. They just need the details to send you money. So this should be a huge red flag. Also, if a job is pressuring you to act urgently for an application or to send them information or something like this, this should be a huge red flag. If you get a job notification or you find a job that has like extremely high pay for simple, easy tasks, like let's say it's like sweeping a hallway that's like 3 feet wide and you get paid $300 a week for it. The pay doesn't seem to be justified by the work. This should really also be a red flag for a job. And then also, if you are looking into a company that's sending you a job ad and you can't verify company info on something like LinkedIn or online if they don't have a website, this should also be a big red flag for you. So in these kinds of situations with job scams, what can you do? Well, first thing to stay safe would be to research the company before applying, and this goes into verifying the company info. Also, if you're getting unsolicited job offers, just ignore them. They're usually job scams. And then another way would be to use trusted job platforms like the ones I mentioned on the Job Bank, LinkedIn, Indeed. And if a job is ever asking you to pay them to work at that job or as part of an application for that job, that's probably not a legitimate job. So I would not pay that. Also, if you're not sure about a job, you can go to Canadore Employment Solutions or any of the staff at Canadore, and they'll be like or you know, you go to your friends and just seek advice if you're not sure. It's really important, like if you have questions about stuff like jobs or any other services in general, just seek advice because we're here to help you. Um, Also, the last thing you can do is to stay informed and up to date with your information. So, Jess mentioned this before, but look out for the Coming to Canada email series. There'll be one, I don't know if it's already been sent or if it will be sent, about job search tips, but keep an eye out for that while you're on the job search. All right, now I'm going to talk about what it's actually like living in Canada in terms of housing. So at Canadore College, we do have a residence for our North Bay campuses. If you're interested, please make sure you apply if you haven't already. Um, there may be a wait list depending on the number of applicants, but you can check out the residence page for more information. That's at www.canadorecollege.ca/Canadore residence. The residence is really nice. It's modern facilities with fitness rooms, lounges, on-site laundry, high-speed Wi-Fi, and it's actually very conveniently located along transit routes and close to grocery and shopping centers. So also the other option for you as a student living in Canada is off-campus housing. Now, it's important to note whether it's residence or off-campus housing, it's your responsibility to find and acquire accommodations. And to find and acquire these accommodations, there's a couple services that can help your search specifically for off-campus residents, such as www.place4students.com. This could be useful for North Bay, or if you happen to be studying in Parry Sound, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, or RentSeeker. There are some home share options for both North Bay and Parry Sound. So you can look at www.canadorecollege.ca/support/housing if you're interested in that. Also in North Bay, and if you're on our Parry Sound campus, there's a lot of churches of various faiths, including Christian, Catholic, and Muslims. And you can see the links here. We have North Bay on the left and Parry Sound on the right. And this is an exhaustive list of the churches to see if there's places of worship, or where the places of worship are, what their details are, how you can access them, etc. So yeah, just check out these links if you're interested. Uh, in addition, something you're gonna want to do when you come to Canada is get a cell phone plan. This is really important because you may know this is like a major form of communication. There's a lot of cell phone providers in Canada you can get a plan from, and I believe the airport, if you're coming to Pearson, the airport has a kiosk where you can get a cell phone plan right there. But some providers in Canada include Fido, Koodo, Virgin, Rogers, and Bell. They provide student-friendly international talk time deals based on the usage and needs of each student. And just like residence or anything else personal like this, it's your responsibility as a student to get one. Now, cell phone providers usually require proof of ID when you're registering for a cell phone plan, and we recommend when you go to do that you carry your passport while getting your cell phone number. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention is also available. This may be available through your local carrier. I would check up on that, but a lot of cell phone companies offer eSIM plans for being in a foreign country or something like this. This might be an easy option for you, but you'd have to look into that yourself. Another really important thing about living in Canada is banking information. So just to go into the currency, if you're not already familiar, the Canadian dollar is the only, this is important, only currency commonly accepted across Canada. It's pictured there. It comes in like multicolored notes. It's really cool. It's like a plastic if you're not familiar with it. You can exchange most currencies in Canada most currencies that you may have for Canadian dollars at any commercial bank. There is usually a small fee associated with that, so keep that in mind. But also at the airport, they tend to have kiosks which can help you exchange currencies. We recommend that when you arrive in Canada, you have access to Canadian dollars in some way to make sure you can make payments, whether this means cash or potentially on a card. Now, also, when you're coming to Canada, getting a bank account is really important. And there's a lot of bank branches near campus. I believe there's also a CIBC in Pearson Airport when you get off the plane where you can make a bank account as well. But there's also a lot of branches near campus, including TD, BMO, CIBC, RBC, and Scotiabank. They tend to offer similar plans and benefits. So I would do your own research on that to make sure you can find a plan that suits your needs the best. All right. And another thing is grocery. So as we know, food, pretty important stuff. You do need to eat. Grocery stores are one way of getting that food, and international grocery is increasing in their diverse food options in North Bay and if Parry Sound, if you happen to go there. Um, Most grocery stores tend to have an additional diverse food aisle with some items you may recognize from home. The North Bay Farmers Market tends to have some diverse international options. There's also a couple local stores too, that like Spices Village you see there, that offer regional cuisine or grocery selections. Some options that you can see the images on the bottom. Some grocery stores in North Bay include No Frills, Freshco, Walmart, Spices Village, like I talked about, and Bulk Barn. And on the right, you can see some images of what it actually looks like to shop in Canada. Also, there's a bunch of restaurants in North Bay, so I like food, so this is important for me too. So sometimes you may not feel like cooking, and in those instances, we do have a really good diversity of food. You can see a bunch of them pictured here, like Mr. Poncho's, which is Mexican cuisine, Souk Dev, which serves some more traditional Indian cuisine, Gangnam Korea. There's too many for me to even talk about, to be honest with you. So yeah, just be aware that these options do exist. Now, one thing that I think is really important also that everybody understands before they come to Canada is culture shock. Now, culture shock is a common experience when you're moving to a new country. It can really range and vary depending on the person and how similar that your home culture or the culture you're familiar with is to the culture you're going to. Um, but it pretty much always happens in any instance, and it's important to recognize that it does exist and probably will happen to you regardless. But knowing about it and taking steps to actively mitigate its effects can really help you in these instances. So culture shock typically takes the form of excitement at first because you're moving to a new country. A lot of things feel thrilling and exciting. There's a lot of new stuff. Yay! But over time, you tend to run into some difficulties once daily routines start. You start thinking, okay, I'm in this new culture. Why do they do things like this? This is weird. I don't know why they do things like that. And it's just a phase of you're trying to familiarize yourself with the culture, learn new things. But there tends to be some difficulties in that. It's normal and common to feel overwhelmed and or overwhelmed and out of place during your transition. This is important to note. Pretty much everybody has this experience, and there is supports to help you when you're going through this transition. First off, like I said, preparation and knowing about this can make adapting to it easier. However, once you arrive, there's a bunch of support services available to help you adjust. Yeah, so that's exciting. Another important thing is driving in Ontario. If you plan on driving, keep this in mind, because Ontario typically operates on a graduated license system. Now, this is only really important if you plan on getting your own license. So what that means basically is drivers take progressive tests when they're getting their license, where basically they'll take an exam which will allow them to do certain things on the road while driving, and then they'll take a second exam which will expand those things that they can do, and then finally they do third test. That takes place that takes the form of the G1 test, which is a written exam, and then the G2 test, which is a road test. And then to get a full license, you take your G test. New drivers typically have to wait a set duration of time before passing to the next level of driving. And this is actually like really helpful for new drivers to reduce the risks they face, especially when driving in our icy and snowy conditions that we have here part of the year. Now, if you do hold a driver's license from another country or your home country, and you have previous driving experience, you may be able to apply to get one here as well. And students with previous driving experience from their home country, they can take or have a driving license extract. So to find out more details about that specifically, I'd visit www.ontario.ca/page/driver's license if you're curious about that. Also in the same vein as driving is transportation around North Bay. Now, for students coming in this cohort, your ancillary fees include a bus pass for the North Bay Transit system. So this should be already paid for. But you can find bus routes and information on the transit website if you're curious, or if you need to find out, okay, how can I get to this place? I need to get to this place. Visit www.northbay.ca/transit. Now in North Bay, most buses run every 15, 30, and 60 minutes throughout the day. It depends on the busiest times. So typically during the high traffic times, buses run more frequently. And they run shortened routes and running time on Sundays. There's also some other options. If other than bus transit, if you're not interested in driving, you can book a U-Ride via the app. There's a couple taxi services such as 50 Taxi or You Need a Cab. Also, in the summer or potentially the winter, if you like to do that kind of thing, biking is available. We have a lot of really nice bike trails in North Bay. And if you like to bike, check it out, because there are. And also North Bay being not the biggest city, a lot of places are in walking distance. However, during the winter months, this may be a little cold. I'm going to warn you guys, so watch out for that. Now, let's talk about the transit as well and how to use it. So transit is typically used through the MyRide NBT app. I believe this is how you access your accounts. You can download it free from the Play Store or App Store. And basically the way it works is you provide your rider information, you select your monthly payment option, and when you come to Canada, there'll be details on how you can access your bus pass, usually through email. The app basically will let you know where to expect, when you can expect to be picked up by the bus and where the bus stop actually is. It can give you information on the routes as well. And you can actually watch your bus arrive in real time via the app. So that's really nice. You can also use the app to lead you to the most convenient bus stop for pickup, depending on where you're going. Now, North Bay Transit also has another booking option. It does cost money, but you can book a dynamic dispatch, which is basically saying, okay, I'm going to need this bus at this time, and can you make sure you arrive at this stop at this time? It's a more flexible option, but it does cost money. Now, if you're interested in finding out about the transit routes or more about the dynamic dispatching system, scan these codes. These codes are really nice. I'm just going to give you like a couple seconds to scan them. Yeah, not too much time. Yeah. All right. So now, yeah, so that's pretty much it for my part. Now I'd like to invite Cesar to the stage to talk about his experience as a student.
Hello everyone. I'm Cesar, and I'll be talking about my experience as an international student in Canada. So, yeah, hey, my name is Cesar Oquendo. I'm an international student from Ecuador, such a beautiful country in South America. I'm currently studying the Computer Systems Networking Technician at the Commerce Court campus at Canada College. I'm really passionate about sports and technology, and I love learning a little bit of everything. In my free time, I play soccer for the Panthers team, which makes me feel really like if I'm a part of the Canada community. And yeah, you may be wondering why Norway? And I chose Norway because I wanted a place where I could focus on my studies and feel safe while adapting to a new country. Because, in Norway, it's a quiet city compared to big urban cities compared to Toronto, for example, which makes the transition easier. And also, Canada College offers great support for international students, and that was such a big plus for me, I can promise. And yeah, also, Norway has amazing natural spots like the lakes, trails, and a lot of outdoors activities that make your routine more enjoyable and help me balance my studying with the exploring, to have that little bit of the rest that I needed at some point. Next slide, please. Perfect. So now I'm going to tell you some tips that I wish I knew when I just got here. So at first, you should be getting ready before you fly. Before coming to Canada, you have to make sure that you have a safe place to stay while you study. And yeah, Canada offers such a good residence. There are support teams that can help you with almost everything that you can imagine. So yeah, that's such an important part to consider. Also, since you are going to arrive in the winter, you should bring warm clothes because it gets really cold. But you only have to wear an extra layer. That's it. So yeah, and you have to bring some warm clothes to keep you away from the cold. Also, keep all your important documents organized and easy to access because you never know what's going to happen. It's better for you to be proactive and prepared. Also, as your first steps in Canada, you should set up a mobile data and open a bank account, as Chris said, as soon as possible. There are plenty of resources, plenty of options that you can consider. And yeah, you also should learn about the bus routes and the schedules to make the transportation a lot easier. Join student or community groups. They are such a great way of meeting people and getting support. And remember, here at the International Department, Canada is always there for you. So don't hesitate to come and get some help if you need. And also, to make Norway feel like home, you should take advantage of campus resources like sports, wellness activities, and mental health support. And there are also events outside of the campus for you to go and explore the city. And go out and get to know a little bit of North Bay, enjoy the city, visit the lakes, the hiking trails. As Chris said, we are going to have a lot of outside activities and a lot of public places that you should visit. It's a great way to feel connected and make the most of your experience while in Canada and while here in Norway.
All right, thank you, Cesar. I'd also like to say thank you to GuardMe, Victoria GuardMe, the admissions office, the registrar's office, student success services, the residence team, career development, and everybody from the international office who helped. It was a really big help from all of them. And also, special thanks to all of you and safe travels. So before you go, make sure if you have any questions, we'll be opening up the Q&A session very soon. So stay for that. Also, this session has been recorded and it's going to be posted on our website. So if you need to look back and find any information regarding that, feel free to go look on the website as well. So yeah, now I'm going to open up the Q&A session. So just take this time to post questions using the Q&A feature. You can see on the top bar of the Teams meeting, there should be a little bubble with question marks says Q&A. So yeah, just post some of your questions there and we can get to them. Just a heads up, we'll be doing this for about 15 minutes before we go. Nicole, I think I see a question for you there. Do you see it? Oh, I don't know if we can hear you.
Yes, I am answering.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Do you want me to type or type and talk?
You could speak too, just
Yeah?
so
Okay.
it's not like dead silence. Sorry.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Thank you for
Yeah.
your first question. Thanks for opening the floor. Yes, so you cannot register until the study permit is uploaded to OCAS. So if you don't have access to OCAS or you're not able to figure that out, you can ask your agent. And if that doesn't work either, you can bring it in or just email us a copy and we can help you with that. But we do ask that you try first, okay? Yep.
Just to confirm, you won't be able to register or get your study permit until you are in Canada. So getting your study permit is when you're in Canada. So that means not until you arrive can you register.
It's not letting me, Chris, post my answer. Let me see.
Oh, I think I sent it to the published section so people could see it. Sorry.
Okay, so shall I
That might just copy it and paste it there maybe.
paste it where, sorry?
Into so you see in the Q&A feature how there's published, in review, and
Yeah.
dismissed.
Yeah.
If you just copy what you have typed and then go to published and it should be there.
Yeah, I am in published. Let me see. Okay, well, I'm having issues with that right now.
Just send it to me and I can put it in there.
Because I see a lot of questions coming here.
There's a question here on the acceptance letter. Arrival date was stated for December 29th. Will there be a shuttle to take the students to their destination? Looks like somebody commented on that. So transportation is the responsibility of the students. And if you are staying in residence, I do suggest reaching out to residents directly to ask them for an early arrival, as their move-in date is not until January 4th. If you do have an apartment that you're renting, you can reach out to them to see when you can move in. Otherwise, if you do plan on coming by the 29th, you can look at the hotels within North Bay and see where you can stay. While the letter indicates December 29th, we just want to make sure that you're here for orientation on January 9th and for your classes, which I believe most of them begin in January 12th.
And then I see a question, Ella. I'd like to inquire about the early childhood education winter intake. Could you please confirm whether it is level 1 or level 3? So Ella, I'm wondering by level if you mean semester. I'm not quite sure. So if you can elaborate what you mean by level 1 or level 3, or you can send me an email at international.admissions@canadacollege.ca. But the winter intake is a semester 1 program.
Also,
Okay.
I see a question here. Is it necessary to land in North Bay directly? I have my, yeah, and then the rest. So basically, no, it's not necessary to land in North Bay directly. A lot of students end up going to Pearson in Toronto and then making their way to North Bay after they're in Canada. This is pretty typical. And there are bus services through Ontario Northland. There's transit shuttles that go all the way to North Bay from Toronto.
I think Inderjeet has left the links to the transit in one of the questions, as well as in a discussion as while we were doing the presentations.
Yeah, I just see she posted a link there. So if anybody's interested in that, check out those links.
Nana, you said that you're still waiting for your visa approval, and I do see that Nicole replied that yes, you do still have time to get your visa approval, and the deferral deadline is December 20th. I just want to make sure that you do understand, though, that you have to make your decision by December 20th if you haven't received your visa approval, because you cannot arrive late. So make sure that you request your deferral before it's too late if you haven't received your visa by then. If you don't have a question to ask, we encourage you to simply write in the Q&A where you are coming from, which country or city you're coming from, or which program you're going to be taking.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen just so everybody knows.
There's a question here for you to answer, Nicole. If I
I'm
request a deferral,
looking.
am I going to be admitted into early batch in January?
See here. Am I going to be admitted into the early batch in January? So I'm not sure, Nana, what intake you have an offer for. If you request a deferral, typically we try to issue the next available intake. So some programs don't necessarily have an intake that starts at every, spring, winter, fall sessions. So it would depend on seat availability and whether your program is being offered at that intake. So you as well, if you want to reach out to our email, international.admissions@canadoracollege.ca, I'll put it in here, and you can reach out to us and we'll have a look at your case specifically, okay? And sorry, and remember, you cannot request a deferral if it's a high demand program, such as PSW, practical nursing, renovation techniques, and the Bachelor Honors in Nursing program, okay?
There's a question here, is it okay to look for a house after I reach there? And for the time being, I can stay in an Airbnb, or is it really necessary to look for a house before? I think Cesar would be really good at answering this question. I think it's important to do your best to find a home ahead of time, but you do want to be careful of scams and fraud. Make sure that you are finding a home that's a real home. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that.
Well, I would, because when they go to register, there's a waiver that they sign saying that they have found accommodation in North Bay. So they, without having an address or confirming that you have somewhere to live, they won't be able to register.
So yes, it's important to find a place before you come. Worst case scenario, you can reach out to us, but we do have on our website, it's canadacollege.ca/housing. There's information there. We have reviewed websites where there are housing offered to our students as well as the residents. And again, the residence is very affordable here.
Okay, I see a couple people have sent where they're from and what they're doing. I see already living in Canada, Cranbrook, British Columbia. That's cool. Doing ECE, project management technology. Cool. ECE again, very cool. Advanced manufacturing design and management. Wow. It's cool to see where all you guys are doing, where you're from. Yeah, it's interesting.
It would be fun to know if anybody has snow yet or what the weather's like. I suspect British Columbia, it's rainy, Ella. I suspect India and Nigeria are hot in our standards, right? And Michigan, I believe they get snow just as we do. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna leave it for 1 minute. So 1 more minute if you have any questions.
So someone's asking if there are any good WhatsApp app groups. We don't comment on that, right? Like we don't have.
Yeah, so typically, because we can't really run a WhatsApp group as a school, so you would have to contact other students to see if they had a WhatsApp group for you.
Also, like in the presentation, multiple representatives have said that please do not rely on the information in your WhatsApp groups. It might not always be the best guidance that you receive. We encourage you to always reach out to international@canadorcollege.ca, or if you have any admission related, it's international.admissions@canador.ca.
I'm muted. All right. So I think we're going to close it here. So if you still have questions, feel free to reach out to international admissions regarding your admissions questions, or international for miscellaneous stuff. Feel free. Yeah, so I'd just like to say thank you for everybody attending. Thank you for everybody who helped out, and yeah, I hope you have a great day. All right, I'm going to end the event. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you. See you soon.
Wish you all the best. Safe travels.